Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their two locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs. What's up, everybody? It's the Morgan Thomas Show, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Get in, get ready. The show is getting ready to start. We got about 2 minutes before we get this thing started. Make sure you get in the chat and say hello. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience and getting in. Again, this is the Morgan Thomas Show. I'm your host and producer, Morgan Thomas. I'm joined alongside me tonight is Big Al, Alan Adams, down in the middle, and then Mr. Houston Burnett. Welcome in, guys. I hope you had a good week so far. I'm looking forward to getting into more Clemson discussion. Make sure you get in on the chat because we're not just a show about me, even though the show does have my name on it. And it does have Allen Houston just in really tiny font there, but they're still on there too. But this is a show about you, I promise. So get in the comments, tell us who you are, tell us where you're from, and tell us what you want to talk about. Questions, concerns, emotional outbursts. We want to hear them because, man, this season is right around the corner. By the way, preseason is here for the NFL. So you've got NFL football, you've got college football, we've got even some baseball discussions going on this morning on the Mickey Plyler Show. So many things going on around Tiger Town, and we are here to talk about it. But first, let's go back to our co-hosts and give them a big shout out and a welcome. We'll start with the middle, Big Al, Alan Adams. Welcome in for another show, episode 141. Even though, Houston, some people out there may have not known that we're out there, but we've been here.
Some people, we won't name names on this show, right? So it's almost here. Y'all can feel it. All right, a football season is coming. Fall is coming. I wish you could feel fall coming via the weather, but that hasn't quite happened yet. It's still way too hot outside. So, but the good news is we're nice and cool in here in our houses and our man caves and whatnot, and we get to talk some Clemson football. I'm ready for it. Let's get on it.
Can you feel fall coming? I don't know. I can kind of see it when the trees in my backyard turn a little bit of a yellow at first and then kind of a red, ish turns in there. And then, they get that nice little combo Clemson orange going on. That's why I bought them. Houston, Mr. Houston Burnett, welcome in. Houston?
Yeah, I was really thinking about, I'm not wearing I had to do my hair up for some stuff today, but I was really considering doing like the cutoff shirt, maybe wearing some of our own merch or something. Oh, sorry about all that. Or maybe just having a mullet or something. Maybe using some crass language, because apparently that's what relevant people do nowadays. I don't know, or the people that don't know we're out there, I guess. But yeah, I was up at Eastside High School watching Daniel play. The what is it? The ire of Clemson's fan base. The Daniel Lions were in town.
The Feeders College. The Feeder High School.
College, if you would call it. Hey, look, you can complain about that, but I watched them kick Eastside's tail the other day. They're pretty dadgum good. They won 49-0 in my backyard. So it was very interesting to watch. And so I got to see some pretty good athletes the other day. Fall's back. It's that time of year where it smells like fresh cut grass, and you get to watch two teams that absolutely should not be playing each other play each other in 105-degree heat.
Well, I'm excited for fall sports because I'm a assistant coach for my daughter's fall ball softball team, and that's been exciting so far. I won't be. She has practice Saturday, but guys, I'm not going to be there. Just don't want to disappoint you. I won't be there because I am going to see the scrimmage this Saturday. I have been invited by another friend, not you guys, not you losers. You didn't invite me, but another friend that's not on the show invited me to scrimmage through IPTAY. So I'm going to walk myself through the Oculus. I'm going to take myself through the Oculus. I'm going to go up those stairs or elevator, whichever is first available. And then I will get to see scrimmage. Now, follow me over on Twitter, The Morgan T Show, if you want some real live updates, because I'm going to be tweeting about it. You know that. That's a fact. Tweet that. What happened to those shirts, Al? What happened to the tweet that shirts?
We need to bring them back, no doubt.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. If you didn't already see down at the bottom, we have a banner that says welcome in. The show starts soon. Actually, the show's already started. But one of the big things there on YouTube, we have officially passed 2,000 subscribers. Now, Al, for years, wanted me to get on YouTube, and I just wanted to stay on Facebook. And then finally, we did a show for like 2 years before getting on YouTube, by the way. We got on YouTube, and now we're there, and we're thriving, and we love it, and we have great conversations. So if you're on YouTube, thank you so much. Make sure you hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because we put out Clemson videos every single week. We try to, at least, if we're not too busy at work, but we love Clemson football. We're all Clemson grads. And so we'd like to share in the Clemson fandom with you over there or on Facebook still. We still have videos there as well, too. But throughout the week, again, at Radio Guy Houston and at the Morgan T Show, you can follow us there and, chat with us anytime. But so thank you, everybody. Big shout out. Golf clap for the 2000 actually we're over like 2010 now, by the way. So we like once we crossed it, we jumped. So it's pretty cool. So thank you so much, everybody. Let's get in the chat real quick and give a shout out to those people that we really appreciate. Christopher Terry gets in. Don Play gets in over on YouTube. John Sarian, Jared Clark, Eric Simpkins, Timothy, Joey Thomas, and Kevron Harris, Tyson Ferguson as well. Thank you so much, everybody, getting in. Make sure you get in. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and don't forget to hit the like button, but also ask a question or whatever you want to do. We'll get to it tonight.
I have to say, Kevron is almost like the we're on College Game Day, the Washington State flag that's always in the back of every college
Literally.
game day. That is Kevron Harris for us. So, Kevron, you are the most loyal of loyal listeners of our show, and so at least want to give him a shout out. Our old Crimson, if you will, of the show.
There you go, old Chris. Old Kevron,
Clemson.
that's you should make your nickname Old Clemson on there. Clemson. So maybe that's not as flattering. I don't know. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for getting in and being a part of the show. Again, we're going to get started, and we got a few topics. We always go through a few. We have a top 3 list instead of a top 5 list tonight. We have a couple of topics from camp, and we'll start out with one of the most recent findings from post practice, I guess, fall camp, fall practice, is that Walker Parks is training at the guard position. Number 64, guys. Number 64 in your program. Number 1 in your heart. Walker Parks from Lexington, Kentucky, a junior, ESPN freshman All-American as a reserve in 2020, earned the right to start at right tackle, entering his sophomore year in 2021, enters 2022 having played over 1,600 career snaps, 23 games, and 13 starts. In 2021, he was one of only 4 offensive or defensive players to start all 13 games for Clemson. He played 869 snaps while starting all 13 games at right tackle. All ACC academic team played 67 snaps versus number 5 Georgia, and the list goes on and literally on. All right, so Al, starting from there, I mean, we just 2 weeks ago we were talking about Walker Parks being that guy you could count on at right tackle, and Jordan McFadden being that guy you could count on at left tackle. So no matter what, those 2 positions on the corners were solid. We thought. What's going on now?
Well, I got to tell you, there's a couple schools of thought on this. And, I heard some talk about it on the radio today, and I like the move. I think what it shows is a confidence in Blake Miller and what he's been able to achieve in his short time there. Now, who knows whether that'll be the starting lineup they go with or not, but I got to tell you, it's really interesting to move Parks inside, where most people think that's where he projects at the NFL, is inside at guard. So, I think it's awesome. I think it's one of those things where they're trying to find the best 5. That's kind of something we talk about a good bit. Yeah, you would like to have certain people in certain areas, but if you get your best 5 offensive linemen on the field, that's a great thing. I talked a lot about Jordan McFadden and Walker Parks about being the tackles and having those positions solidified. But if they move in at guard and the guys are able to handle it, I would imagine Tate would be your left tackle and Miller would probably be your right tackle. If that happens, I think that's going to be a monumental boost for the run game. The Shipleys, the Paces, and the Moffas of the world. If we're able to handle that, I think the offensive line really becomes a non-issue if you can make sure Miller's ready to rock and roll come time the season starts. But I'm loving that they're experimenting with this, and I hope it works out for the best, without a doubt.
Here's a quote from Parks. "I'm not opposed to anything. I'll play right or left, tackle or guard, center. I'll play wherever they need me. The coaches brought it up. So I said, yeah, I'm game. So just cross-training a little bit in case something happens, or I might go out there first. We'll see who that best 5 is. Clemson Insider made a note, said when right guard spot has become vacant, the start of the spring for Will Putnam, Will Putnam slid over to center. Brian Tucker was taken over at right guard. Mitchell Mays was kind of spelling him there. But they also mentioned that, as Allen said, when Parks is in that right guard position, the true freshman Blake Miller is stepping in to get reps in right guard. Now, Blake Miller, 6'6", 350-pound freshman, Strongville, Ohio, physically imposing offensive lineman, followed in the lineage of Jackson Carman and Matt Bockhorst as another highly touted offensive lineman from Ohio to come down to Clemson. Everybody from Ohio comes down to Clemson. Houston, are you surprised that you've got a true freshman at right tackle now?
I'll be honest. Like, I feel like a lot of people wanted to downplay the last class that came into Clemson, but I feel like there's a lot of names that are springing up as people are going through this camp, and Blake Miller is one of them. Everyone has been like, this dude is it. I've heard some comparisons to the last true freshman that I can recollect starting, and that was Mitch Hyatt. There's a lot of comparisons to him, even though he's on the other side of the field. And even Colin Sadler's been getting a lot of praise, too, on the offensive line. I just think he's got to do a little bit of growing into the role. But it wouldn't surprise me. There are some people that are specimen on the offensive line. I went back and watched this film, and he absolutely projects as that. And look, if he's a part of the best 5, not opposed to it. I'm glad that this coaching staff seems to be in that mindset of the best 5 will play, more adept to grouping with different personnel. You might see 2 tights, but on different parts of the field. Everything's kind of up for grabs for what is the most successful way to win games this year. And this team is talented enough to do that. I like the way they're moving. I also want to point out, as a fan base, we should appreciate the fact that we're talking about a highly touted freshman and moving into very good tackles into guards versus kind of having to hold our breath if there's a tight end moving to tackle or something like that. Not saying that's not a bad thing. Eric McLean did that. Great. But there's been others that you're just like, or what are we going to do this year?
Well, let's get in on the chat. You got Christopher Terry over on YouTube says, was it not reported that Miller has been a stud since coming to Clemson? I'm going to look at some of his accolades here. You look at, let's see, first team all Ohio Division I, first team all region, first team all district in 2020, 2022, or 2021, Greater Cleveland Conference all academic, 4-year starter at left tackle, dating from 4th game as a freshman to all the way to through his senior year, never missed a game, did not miss a single play in 2021, started both ways as a senior at nose tackle on defense, was a national top 1 or 250 player. Rivals had him at 122 overall, 13th the best among offensive tackles. So Al, we've done some video on him. We love to do video on him. We love to watch video on recruits and see what they're all about when they come in. He was one guy that we loved his tape, and we thought he was a physical bruiser. I mean, I see film, and I watched some this morning. I mean, there is just clips of him demolishing guys, albeit at the left tackle position. So there's no reason why he can't play right tackle in the college level, in my opinion.
No, absolutely not. I would say the left tackle is the more difficult of the 2 spots anyways. And some guys feel more comfortable on the left, some guys feel more comfortable on the right. And there's nothing wrong with moving them around. They've got the versatility to do that. I don't think that's an issue. I love getting the Ohio linemen, the linemen from out in that area. They produce some big boys and some good ones. So I'm hoping Blake Miller is just another one of those.
Tyson gets in, says, I really like Tate at offensive tackle, but I understand why they're keeping McFadden there for now. Houston, what do you think about that? Because when I read that, I say, really, the next man in line for McFadden, shouldn't it be Tristan Lee?
Well, I mean, it just depends. I mean, Tristan Lee, I haven't heard anything negative from camp, and Al, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like there's been pretty positive reports from Lee, but I also just feel like Mays has kind of been that guy that they've been wanting to get on the field more. So it's more of a natural fit to move McFadden into guard. I mean, that's how he started out.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those guys that you feel comfortable putting at multiple positions. So why not put him back in the position where he's most comfortable at? If you've got a guy that you can put at left tackle with Mays and he's a stud and let him play out there, let him. I think you've got – I think the main thing that people are forgetting is there's actually a little bit more depth this year. Although they've got to work out some kinks, it's not it's not as dire a situation starting out the year as it was last year. At least, knock on wood, we keep it that way, or the good Lord keeps it that way.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I think they've getting healthy. That's the first thing. That's the most important. And Richard gets in over on Facebook and says, does DJ have the protection he needs to be successful? Will DJ make it through the season? I know he's really talking more about DJ, but I want to take it on the protection side of the question. I do feel like that this year should be a massive improvement from last year. We talked about Tate specifically having to figure things out. He was really originally supposed to be he really wasn't supposed to be there because Bockhorst was supposed to be there. Bockhorst got moved because of necessity, right, to center, and then Bockhorst got hurt. So Tate was really supposed to be kind of sandwiched in two very veteran guys, and that didn't work out. That didn't happen because of injury. And so now this year, he's able to be in a situation where hopefully the guys are healthy, they're there and ready to go, and they can be more consistent. And, Tate is not trying to figure things out for the very first time this year. He has already been there and kind of understands a little bit better of what's going on. Clemson Tiger 300 gets in over on YouTube and says, I'd like to see Pennington step up at guard. We've talked about this. Dietrich Pennington being 360 pounds. I did a video that just blew up. I couldn't believe people were so adamant about, 360 is not a big deal for a guy that massive, because there were a lot of people on Twitter, and Houston tells me all the time, be careful with Twitter. Don't get as agitated with people on Twitter because half of them are bots and the other half, well, you don't want to know what they do at home, but they're anonymous for a reason. So the Twitterites out there were saying, well, 360, that's too fat. He can't handle it. He's way too heavy. I'm saying it's the start of camp. Nobody is going to keep their weight on from the start of the camp to the end of the camp. Everybody's going to be skinnier. It's historically known it's hard to keep your weight during fall camp for an offensive lineman most of the time. So he's not going to stay where he was day one. Let's just put it that way. But I will say, I am kind of shocked that he's not ready because he's so big, so bad, so powerful. I feel like he could get there, but maybe the knee's still not there yet. Because, offensive linemen don't just bounce back from knee injuries like, 10% body fat wide receivers out here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I would say he could probably lose 10 pounds and be just fine. I would say it's a combination of both. I feel like maybe he stands to lose a little bit of weight. It's not something that bothers me. I think it's more or less, I know that it's, he's getting back into playing. He missed the entire season and camp and everything and spring, the whole 9 yards. He missed it all. So it's not necessarily the being in shape. He had to rehab and everything. It's just getting into that rhythm and then also getting used to being hit all the time. It's not easy to be an offensive lineman, regardless of how big you are, whether you're 296 or 360. It's a tough job. So it's going to take him a little bit of time to acclimate to that. And I think eventually he'll be fine.
Yeah, well, I think that's good stuff from Clemson Tiger 300. Y'all were talking about with Pennington. That's what everybody wants to talk about. Pennington needs to be that right guard, and maybe he will be. Maybe he gets his knee under him. Maybe he gets to to get back in football shape or whatever. And hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. It was a good comment by Clemson Tiger 300. However, I did see Clemson Tiger 300 mentioned earlier. Tate isn't a tackle; he's a guard. Tristan Lee is second string left tackle. Don't get caught up in the roster and the depth charts and all that kind of stuff. Tate did play play guard last year. I understand that. That was more out of necessity. He can play either, but I think he's the most comfortable at tackle. Left tackle specifically, I think, is where he's headed. So keep watching Clemson Tiger 300. I think that might change a little bit.
Interesting. Some future discussion going on. One thing that gets me going is that we get to watch it all unfold on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that. Actually, I get to watch a little bit of it this Saturday. You guys won't be there, but I will be there.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for that first topic, everybody. Again, if you missed it, I will cut it up and I will post it back over on YouTube. So if you haven't already, make sure you like the channel and you subscribe and do everything, hit the bell, all that stuff to really support the channel. You know how the algorithm works. Engineers like Alan back there in the background just typing away, trying to make it harder on little guys like us. But we can overcome it if you just hit the like button. So do that for us tonight, and we really appreciate it. Thank you for getting in. We're going to continue with some more discussion around Clemson football. Before we do, again, thank you. Big shout out to those of you on Facebook and YouTube. Every Thursday night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. We go a little bit long sometimes, maybe all the time, if Al will say that. But I have the call-in show. You see the ticker down at the bottom. I have the call-in number live right now, 898, or excuse me, I said that backwards, 989-704-6674. Houston, you know I have problems. You know it's a struggle for me to
You
get
got problems, all right.
It's a struggle. So 989-704-MORG 6674. All right. So make sure you get in. We have open phone lines. We have 2 open lines right now for you to get in and be a part of the actual conversation and remove yourself from the chat room and actually get in live. Want to ask yourself, how did Houston get on the show? Well, it was because he called in. Just saying. All right. So let's talk about the second topic here. Clemson's simple defense. I know we have talked about this a few times, and this gets everybody riled up because they're like, why does the defense need to be simple? Why are they doing this? They don't need to mess everything up. They had it perfect. They were top defense. And on the flip side, why are we calling the defense simple? Those guys are smart. They know what they're doing. But there's a lot to the word simple and simplicity when it comes to doing that with the Clemson defense and with defense and being a coordinator in Wesley Goodwin. So we're going to talk about that because Keith McGuire came out this week, middle linebacker for the Clemson Tigers. He's going to be that WWE rotation between Trotter and Bentley and McGuire at middle linebacker this year. And he came out and he wanted to add a little bit to make sure no one gets it twisted about being simple on defense. So I say, quote here, he's not a dummy. He knows what you need to have, that you need to have different defense with different groups and that can run out there and compete with different offenses. He's very smart, and I'm sure there won't be an offense that we can't scheme for differently, just the way that Coach Venables did. Talking about Wesley Goodwin there. Obviously, Coach V was a very intense person. The way he coached and taught everything, and I think for some people, they can understand it more. Coach V talked a lot in football terms, and if you didn't understand it, then sometimes it might have taken you a little longer to understand what he's trying to say. Wes kind of simplifies the way he talks and explains things. So I think the younger guys have a better opportunity to learn a little bit faster. It wasn't until my third year where I could really, in the meetings, completely understand what Coach V wanted. And when you understand him, you realize how smart he is and with everything he does. But Wes, he's speaking in terms, the way he communicates is just a little bit different. In the playbook, he explains it a lot as numbers and things like that. I think it's easier when you don't understand all the terms to just look at it as a map or a puzzle, almost kind of to fill it in. I wouldn't say the defense is that much more simplified. Just the way he explains it to you and shows you on paper may be a little bit different, so you can kind of visualize it a little bit more and go out there and understand what you're doing. Now that, again, is from Keith McGuire, going to be middle linebacker, rotational middle linebacker for the Clemson Tigers this season. So when I say that, and basically we'll start with you, Houston, how he describes Wes Goodwin's approach. Some people say simplification is kind of like dumbing it down, but that's not what it sounds like.
No, not at all. I think simplification can mean a lot of good things too. I mean, I think for the sake of one, making it your own. You don't have to do a ton of things to make this an aggressive, good defense. I think some of the tweaks to help linebackers and the back end of that defense, simplifying it, is laying it out better for them. Because what is the one weakness, outside of a mobile quarterback for Morgan, I guess, but outside of that is deep plays, a lot of big plays, chunk plays. Think about the Pitt game in 16, Syracuse game in 17, the LSU game in 19, and so on and so forth, Ohio State in 2020. There was always issues with if you were super aggressive, giving up that deep play. I think being able to simplify it is one way to combat some of these offenses. Like LSU and Ohio State's offense, when you kind of break it down to it, it's not the most complex offensive playbook ever. No, they have a handful of plays that they sell unbelievably well, and it made Clemson's aggressive defense bite, and they were able to just kill them. So maybe being able to simplify it on the back end will help combat some of those games, knowing where you're supposed to go, knowing your matchups, knowing how to help, knowing your blitzes, and then being able to simplify it. I think it's also good to just be able to get that installation in, and then being able to tweak from week to week is fine.
Keith McGuire, number 30 this year, linebacker, middle linebacker, 6'2", 230 pounds, redshirt junior from Pennsylvania, enters 2022 with 33 tackles, 4 for a loss, a forced fumble, an interception, 2 pass breakups in 208 defensive snaps over 28 games. So a lot less snaps than the guy we talked about before with Walker Parks. But he's somebody that's looking to really jump on the scene this year, a former 3-star guy, according to 24/7 Sports, but a guy that we felt like could be a Power 5 starter. And a lot of the scouts out there, even though he was a 3-star, felt like he had a lot of talent there. But Al, I've mentioned this before. It does seem like the middle linebacker position, when in terms of Brent Venables taught middle linebackers, you got to have a PhD almost, and to even sniff the starting lineup. It seems like maybe that's not necessarily going to have to be the case now. Maybe it's not so much simplifying it as it's removing barriers to learning so that younger guys can get in earlier.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, a PhD is about right, and Boulware had that. Boulware, he might have lacked some in athleticism. A lot of people like to talk about that, but man, he knew what was going on. You could see him calling plays before they happened, that kind of thing. This is, I don't know. Who knows what these guys were going to have this year. We got to see them start and see what they got as far as diagnosing plays and things like that. But, man, they've got the athleticism. We know that. And simplifying things, I think, is a way to get them to just get out there and let the athletes make plays. And something Houston was talking about, he's talking about the big plays. I got to tell you, that's not exactly where I thought you were going with the simple defense, Houston. I thought you were going to mention the tempo, because I think that was an issue that Brent Venables had.
That's
waiting so long, to get those plays in. And some of these guys, heck, some of the offenses that weren't even really all that good, they ran fast and they were able to get plays while we weren't even, paying attention. Our hands weren't even in the dirt or anything like that. So yeah. I really think the simplification of the defense, whether it may be just terminology or getting, younger players ready to make plays faster or whatever it may be, I think it's going to be a good thing all the way around.
Jared Clark gets in over on Facebook, and he says, simple because they are so deep and athletic. Defensive line linebackers by committee. Too much speed and power in the front seven. Not hard to coach those studs. Well, it might not be hard because of the talent. Talent in all different directions with no common goal, shared goal is not a good thing. You need that coach there to bring them together, to get them towards a common goal, to get them all on the same page. But also, as Al and Houston mentioned, to simplify things in a way to where you can take advantage of that deep and athletic rotation. Because if you make it so complicated, you've shortened your roster. For all you roster management coordinators out there, you've shortened your roster by making it so much more difficult just to be a starter, just to be a backup. I mean, looking back, I know Brent Venables is one of the best defensive coordinators in the nation, but he was not perfect. He had flaws. I would say one of those flaws is to be a middle linebacker took you needing a PhD. Maybe it's not necessary for that much knowledge to be able to manage the position. And maybe if you're recruiting so well and there's only one middle linebacker, if you're going to do a WWE tag team or triple tag kind of style that Dabo Swinney's talking about, they got to be interchangeable parts. Well, do like the Honda Accord and make them easily interchangeable parts. Don't be like a Porsche where it's got to take 3 weeks to change it out. That's all I'm saying there. I think it's simple, but it's simple in learning and knowledge and being able to pick it up and being able to use it. A lot of people loved Keith McGuire's post-practice interview. I'm excited to see him and what he can do because I feel like he is, a redshirt junior, man, he has taken the lumps and he has finally gotten a chance to get out there. So you got to love what he's doing and his positivity there. Christopher gets in over on YouTube and says, simple in language, not in scheme. That's the big difference there. We're talking about simplicity, but it's not so much about how complex the scheme is. It can still be complex. It just seems like maybe he's being a little bit more visual with it than Brent Venables was being more terminological with it. Yes, you heard that right, Al. You heard that right. Jared gets in again over on Facebook and says, McGuire is a very football savvy. He knows X's and O's. Got to have that field general on defense as well as on offense. I think you can still have the field general as we're talking and still make it easily teachable, right, Houston?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I feel like for this, it goes back to the whole like waiting to the last second to get plays in. Al, I got to give you credit, man. You got me on that one. I should have said that. But I think simplification for that, the sign stealing, I don't think it was the sign. I think he was just trying to get the last look. And sometimes you can't afford to do that. Maybe it might afford you if your offense is more of a pro style and trying to slow things down. But LSU didn't wait. Ohio State didn't wait. Syracuse didn't wait. Pitt didn't wait.
No, they didn't.
I mean, how many other ones can you tell? Louisville in 2016 when they actually were good didn't wait. Even Louisville last year. Had an effective run game on Clemson that sliced them up with Malik Cunningham. So it is very teachable, and I think this is one of those things that, especially from the linebacker level, it's very important for these linebackers to know their run fits. For this particular, aggressive defense. So being able to tighten the screws a little bit makes things tweak. Maybe even in this regard, like I don't want to say less aggressive because that doesn't do this justice. It's still going to be very aggressive, but it has to be smartly aggressive. I think that's kind of the way they want to go about it.
Todd gets over on Facebook. He says, "What's going on, guys? Sorry I'm late to the party. Let's go Tigers. Let's go Tigers." And Christopher Terry reminds everybody to hit the like button, people. Please make sure to do that. Remember, YouTube is all about an algorithm, and they go off of the like hits on there. So if you haven't already, hit the like button and then hit the share or subscribe button. If you don't mind, take a second, hit that share button and text it to a friend. Say, hey, if you're new, I found this Clemson show that they do every single week, every Thursday, 7 p.m. They talk Clemson stuff, and they're Clemson grads, and they love the Tigers, and you can be a part of the show too. We have over 50 people watching right now across Facebook and YouTube. If you're in right now, like the show, be a friend, tell a friend, and let's keep going. Thank you so much again for getting in to be a part of the show. The next topic is one that I know baseball fans are excited about. I know football fans are excited about. I know people who want to see a slot wide receiver are excited about, and that is Will Taylor is back, and this time with a surgically repaired, 100% confidently repaired knee after tearing his ACL. He is back, and now they're moving him from, originally in 2021, they were talking about, oh, well, maybe he could be a backup quarterback. Well, there was definitely a need there, right? But now they're saying he needs to go into more a traditional place where he can play slot. Now, here's a quote from him this week. Will Taylor, I feel like I'm definitely faster than I was 12 months ago. I'm just trying to get my moves back, get the lateral movement back. The past 4 days have been great so far. I'm excited to keep going. I'm 100% confident. Absolutely. If I wasn't 100% confident, I wouldn't be out here practicing. Obviously, still wearing a knee brace, but it's just the protection out here because we're doing a lot. I don't even think about it. I feel faster. I feel better than I did last summer. Now, I know everybody out there is really looking at what can Clemson do in 2022 with the wide receiver slot position. And Will Taylor could be a huge factor there. He was that shorter, skinnier, faster, shiftier guy, and then he disappeared because of a season-ending injury. It was a heartbreaking injury, Al. I'll start with you. Did your just breath leave your body when he went down? Like, oh gosh, because I did. I know I was like, wow, this guy provides a spark, and now he's gone. And I really, in my mind, I knew, knowing being the roster management coordinator I knew there wasn't a lot of those guys on the roster last year.
Yeah, without a doubt. That was really tough to see. And it's one of those things when you saw him go down, you're like, well, it didn't really look that bad, which makes it that much worse. All right. It's always those that you don't even see. I think, what was it, Pumachan, who non-contact injury in the spring game, he was the one that tore his ACL. I mean, it's like nothing's even happening. Like, how does it work that way? I don't know, but it was awful to see. Like you said, he provides a real spark there. I think obviously his natural position will be slot receiver. He's got the quickness, he's got the speed, but he's got it. Hey, he talked about himself. He's trying to get his lateral movement back and all that. That's what it's all about in the slot. Using your quick twitch and getting side to side and all that kind of stuff, cutting over the middle. That's what we need from a slot guy. And he's got it. Now, I think we have a couple options there as well. I think, Spector's going to factor into this thing. As a matter of fact, he would probably be my bet to start there in the slot. But, yeah, Taylor's going to play a big part of the offense this year, I would imagine. Heck, all three guys, I really think – I say all three. There's probably 5 of them for all I know on the actual roster. But I think Williams is going to get a lot of play too. A lot of people love Antonio Williams. He's getting a lot of talk in preseason camp, and a lot of freshmen do. And, a lot of times they'll hit a wall. So we'll see how it goes, but I think we got a lot of good options there at slot. I'm really excited about the position this year.
Number 16, Will Taylor, number 1 in your heart. 5'10", 175 pounds, from a sophomore from Irmo, Dutch Fork High School, one of Houston's favorite high schools out there. 2-sport athlete, plays both football and baseball. Started career again at quarterback and then has now transitioned to wide receiver. Comes into 2022 with 5 carries for 20 yards, 2 receptions for 6 yards, 6 punt returns. We even talk about special teams there for 64 yards and a 14-yard kickoff return over 5 games. Only played 15 offensive snaps in 2021. Houston, do you look to see him make a statement this year and actually come on strong and be a go-to guy in the wide receiver core for Clemson?
I mean, I think there's several guys that can make cases for that, but I think Will Taylor's got to be at the top of that list. He was one of the few bright spots on offense before he got injured. He showed some flash, got him into some space, and then as soon as Clemson kind of figured out what they were going to use him for in his niche role, he gets injured. So he's back. He's bigger and stronger. I think this is going to be great for the offense as a whole to have some guy that's a little bit more of an established leader. He's got a little bit of grit. You can get him the ball in space. I think he does a little bit more than just being a slot guy. Like, everyone has this mindset of Hunter Renfrow. I think this guy's skill set's different, and he might actually be a little bit more versatile. Maybe not as good as a route runner, but he's still very versatile in how you can use him.
He's not just a baseball player, football player, but he's the first baseball, football player since DJ Reader. Man, you remember DJ Reader? It's been a while since we saw him in a Clemson Tiger uniform. Again, I look forward to seeing what we can do at the slot receiver position. If they have to put Bo Collins there, I'm actually perfectly fine with that because I feel like Bo Collins is a guy who's DJ is at least very comfortable with, and we need to keep that connection going. If that's not the case, then I would prefer to see Clemson do a more shifty, more traditional, shorter guy like a Will Taylor, like an Antonio Williams that can fit in that position. Now, we're talking about the slot position, but we got a lot of people asking, well, what about Troy Stellato in the chat? And, originally I had talked him up as maybe being a slot position guy because in some of his film from high school, he's a really fast slot position guy. It does seem like He might not be even playing that position now. I don't really know. Maybe he's going more towards an outside type receiver guy, but he is somebody who I feel like is fast enough to take the top off. I watched a one-on-one on Max Prep's Twitter page recently, and it just so happened to be Troy Stellato from high school torching guys in a deep ball competition. He can do it one-on-one, but again, it goes back to what's the proverbial Achilles heel for wide receiver? It's the Achilles heel, the ACL. Yes. Name a ligament, you pick one. That's it. So an oblique, pectoral, biceptural, whatever, viral, whatever. There's something wrong with your body. It's probably happening on the wide receiver core for Clemson in 2021. Hopefully in 2022, they go into like the water, the fountain of youth somewhere in Lake Hartwell and Lake Kiowee, probably Lake Kiowee. Let's be honest, and then come back and are able to play, because again, you can't be in the stat sheet if you're not actually on the field. You got to be on the field first. But yeah, thanks so much to everybody for getting in on the chat for that topic. We really appreciate it. Again, we have 60 people right now between Facebook and YouTube. Don't forget to hit the like button. Hit the like button. That will help us out a lot. We really appreciate it. All right, so let's talk about a top three. Top three. Now, this one, I always love our top lists, but this is a top three, okay? Because top five just seems to take so long for our 1 hour show. So I condensed it down to a top three, fellas. Is that okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're not going to do this round robin stuff. I'm just going to throw you up on the screen, and you are going to give us your top three. Now, the question of the day, this is where I started over on Mickey Plyler's show this morning. And the question was actually from College Football Reddit. And it was a Arkansas fan who said, what's one game or era or situation or part of your history that you want to get rid of? And he said, I would love to get rid of the Bobby Petrino era and the scandal and everything. Now, that was not, necessarily a schedule or a team-related thing. That was an off-the-field issue. There were Clemson fans in there that said they would like to erase from memory the fall brawl between South Carolina and Clemson when Yusef Kelly was holding the Clemson helmet up above his head, or the South Carolina helmet up above his head, right? I didn't really go that way. I went with actual games. So I posed this to you guys. What games, and let us know in the chat what you think as well. Get in, because I will give you your time to shine too. What are your top three games that you can remember that you wish you didn't have to remember, that you wish you could forget? Now, I'll go ahead and give you my three. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna make myself in the center just because I told everybody they were gonna do the same, so I'm gonna be in the center. Is that okay, fellas? Can you still hear me?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So for me, and some of these are sentimental, but well, you know what? I really didn't even rank them like I should have. I'll say number three. Okay, Al. Number three. Al has a rule: never leave a Clemson game early. Never leave a Clemson game early. And I broke this rule once. It was 2004. I was in high school. I was with my dad's best friend's daughter, Casey Bryant. We were in the West End zone. We were watching the game, and Clemson was winning. It was Clemson versus Georgia Tech in 2004. She says, "Hey, let's go back to the tailgate and get some food, because they're going to win this game. It's like a minute left." Well, they fumble the punt under a minute to go. Clemson needs to punt on their own side of the field. They fumble the punt. Georgia Tech picks it up, and the very next play, fellas, Calvin Johnson catches a one-on-one ball in the corner of the end zone to go up and win the game. By the time I walked out of the stadium to the car, everybody was mad. And I was like, "Why are you guys mad?" "Oh, well, you didn't hear? We just lost." And I was like, never again, Big Al. Never again will I leave a game early, even though I probably have since then, because that was 2004. Let's be real. So number two for me is a situation where I was with Big Al. We were, I think, rafting. Correct me if I'm wrong. We were out rafting during this game. 2008. This is number 2 for me.
Okay.
Clemson, number 9, coming into the season. Chick-fil-A kickoff, number 9 Clemson versus number 24 Alabama. For whatever reason now, I don't know why we were rafting. We should have just quit that. We should have just canceled that and actually watched this game. But we had to watch it from like a really small TV inside the camp office. And Alabama comes out, Julio Jones, Mark Ingram versus Jamie Harper, CJ Spiller, and Cullen Harper, by the way. But Clemson ends up getting torched in that game. Alabama wins. The only touchdown of the night, though, a 96-yard kickoff return from CJ Spiller, the great CJ Spiller jersey behind me. The only touchdown there. That was back in the day when Clemson thought that they were there, when we thought that they had made it finally. And then at the very beginning of the season, got a rude awakening. All right, and then my number 1, Big Al, this goes back with, in Houston, this goes back with a CJ Spiller, my favorite player, ACC championship game, 2009. CJ Spiller has 233 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, 11.7 yards per carry, and they lose.
Yeah.
And Kyle Parker goes 10 for 17 with 91 yards and 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. And they lose the ACC championship game. And the reason why it really hurt me, fellas, is because that was CJ's senior year. And he came back and they didn't do it. They couldn't get over the hump and win the ACC championship game. I was in tears after that game. It was heartbreaking for me. My favorite player, I wanted to see him finish out on top and win the ACC championship, and he just couldn't do it, man. So those were my 3. What do you guys think? Give me your assessment so far.
I mean, I think it's a solid list. Are we limited to just, by the way, are we limited to just football?
I think that was the point, but he didn't say that.
There's a specific moment for Clemson baseball that I think Al might be picking up that I'm putting down, but I can, you know.
It's not the time.
Big Al's face is just pure, utter disgust right now.
Not the time.
Really. But,
all right. So Houston, go ahead and give us your honorable mention baseball game. Tell us your honorable mention baseball game and take it away. Your top 3.
Game 2, Omaha, 2010 would be honorable mention if we're not doing that. Or you can say 2002, honorable mention in Omaha, South Carolina. Or you can say 2006, a bogus loss to Cal State Fullerton against the best team Clemson arguably has ever had in baseball. So, look, I'm gonna pull these out because these are the ones that made me the most angry, like just belligerently angry. Some of these are from early on. I see some people putting games from like anywhere from 2015 on. Don't count those. Like, you don't realize how good you got it until you've lived through the West years or the Bowden years and the early part of the Dabo years. I would say number 3. This needs to be mentioned because I wrote about this on rubbingtherock.com. I also wrote about the one that Morgan mentioned in 2004. I was at that game. Calvin Johnson caught that pass right in front of my face. I was so mad. And I could make a laundry list of other games that I was pretty ticked at. But the first one I remember just viscerally having my guts ripped out over was in 2000. It's Halloween weekend. All right, Clemson is playing upstart Georgia Tech. I couldn't stand Georgia Tech already because I knew they'd won a couple times against Clemson, and I wanted to see Clemson win one. And it looked like Clemson was going to win. All right, Willie Simmons comes in off the bench to spell Woody Dantzler after Woody Dantzler got hurt. Clemson takes a 28-24 lead with about a minute and a half. And it's like, all you got to do is hold them out. It's 28-24. The defense is playing well. They're going to go to 9-0. Game day is going to be in Tallahassee the next week for a top 5 matchup. And right before the end of the game, Charles Hafney drops a game-winning interception that would beat Georgia Tech And no sooner than 2 plays later, George Godsey hits Kelly Watkins in the back of the end zone for a one-handed catch with 6 seconds left. Georgia Tech wins 31-28, and I was done. I was 10, and I was done. I couldn't handle it. I was viscerally angry, tears just welling out. I still hate George Godsey to this day. He might be a great guy, but I hate him because he did that. So I don't care. Number 2, this was the year after I graduated college. I spent way too much money on this ticket. It was not a great day to begin with. There was a lot of stuff going on that day wasn't good. It was a rough spot in life. But I was like, I'm going to go to this game, dadgummit. I'm going to get in. I don't care how much money, how much of my little bit of life savings I got left. I'm going to buy this overpriced ticket to see Florida State in 2013. That's the game. Clemson's going to the Rose Bowl. Clemson's going to win the national championship this year. Taj is going to ball out. We're going to beat South Carolina this year. Like this is how it's going to happen. And it was just dead silent from the time that Clemson was down 10-0. You're like, all right, they're going to come back. It's all right. And then once he fumbled the ball, it was game over. And that's kind of the only time probably since like I was 10 or 11, remember seeing Clemson getting just handled at home. And he just couldn't do anything about it. I was so mad. Like I couldn't speak for like a couple days. I was just so mad, but the maddest I've ever been in my life. And I always say that I was an anti-Dabo guy for a long time because of one thing that he couldn't do. And it lasted for a long time. I'm the only one out of my brothers that never beat South Carolina in college. Now I got him back. I had 3-0 in my grad school program, but as an undergrad, I was 0-4. And I've never been more mad than the night that Connor Shaw got hurt and Dylan Stinkin' Thompson came into Death Valley and just unbelievably pulled one out, and South Carolina won 27-17. I was furious. I was on the hill that night. I didn't want to sit on the hill, but the friend group that I was didn't get in a line for tickets. I was already mad. But I was like, hey, it's going to be all good. Clemson's going to win tonight. They don't have Connor Shaw. They're weak, and we as fans can watch this, and I'm going to go out a winner in my senior year and see them finally win at home. Man, this is awesome. And it didn't happen. And for the next couple of years, I was just like, I don't care what. Like, I didn't care that they won the Peach Bowl. Didn't care that they won the Orange Bowl the next year. Didn't care about any of that because they lost to South Carolina. Now, I've since been proven greatly wrong, and I've shut my mouth on any of that, and I've given Dabo the benefit of the doubt. He knows what he's doing. But at the time, as a young, impressionable, idiotic 22-year-old, I was ready to just get the pink slip ready and just let's move on. Get Lane Kiffin. I want Lane Kiffin. I was one of those.
Well, you know what? I remember saying that too. I cannot confirm nor deny that I didn't also mention that coach's name. I'm glad I didn't because, things turned out better for sure. A lot of people getting in chat talking about Florida State. And guys, I was on the field when Jameis Winston destroyed them in 2013. I was standing with the ROTC. Yep. My buddy was honored at halftime, and I was there with him, and I took a photo of him while he was there, took video and everything. We stayed there before the game. It was college game day. It was supposed to be Heisman versus Heisman candidate, and Mario Williams picked up a fumble and almost ran over me in the end zone. And then it was just over from there. I mean, I think Clemson went out 3 straight plays or something and fumbled or turned it over. Like, it was a horrible beatdown, like 53-17 or
14.
Oh my God. I don't even want to, that one really truly is probably my number one because I was so jacked before the game and the crowd was so loud. And then fellas, it was like, you could hear a pin drop, man. Like, and I had a headache because I was, screaming so much before the game and during the run down the hill. And then it was like, oh, but anyways. All right, Al, Now it's up to you, the highlight of the show, to
Yes.
tell us where we're wrong or right, or at least give us the correct top 3 Clemson.
So you're certainly wrong because your number 1 is not even on your list. So, I will tell you this: you don't have a bad list. As a matter of fact, I thought about the Georgia Tech game, the championship game you were talking about, and Morgan, I didn't put it on there because that was such a good game. I mean, a lot of people would put it on there because it was so brutal a loss. But man, it was such a good game. It was back and forth. I remember at the very end thinking, gosh, we cannot stop them. They are running out the clock. Let them score. Please let them score. They finally did, but it was way too late. They did it way too late, and they tried to make a little miracle run down the field. It just didn't happen. But that was a good game. Houston's list, much better. You're gonna hear some repeat from me as well. I do think, however, the one that didn't make it as my number 3 was going to be Alabama, the game that you mentioned in 08 when we started off the season. We were at rafting. We watched in the office, like you said. That went number 4, and there's a reason it was number 4. This was a difficult list to make, and it's because there's a lot of games you wish you could have back, you wish you could forget. But Houston, I have 2 of Houston's on my list, and my number 3 was the South Carolina game in 2012. So this was a funny story because, I was going to the game. My buddy Marty was not going to the game. He had a cruise he was going on with his family. And I was like, dude, they beat us 3 years in a row. We're going to beat them this year. We're a better team. He's like, I know, but I have to go to this cruise. We couldn't get it worked out. Finally, he said, you know what? I'm coming. I'm coming to the game, but here's the key. You've got to drive me to the Atlanta airport after it's done. I was like, dude, got you. Let's do this because we have to see this victory in Death Valley together. So we go to the game. It does not turn out like we had hoped it was going to turn out. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that's the year. I mean, they had a nasty defense. I'm pretty sure that's the year they had, whether it was Swearinger or Hampton or whoever, drilled Ellington and flexed over him. 27-17. It was just brutal. And not only that, after that game, I have to get in the car at midnight and drive Marty to the Atlanta airport with my wife, and it was absolutely awful. The car was awful. The ride was awful. We were expecting great conversation, and there was just none to be had. So that was my number 3. Number 2, and this is one that I was a little intrigued that neither one of you had this on your list. Maybe it was because Houston might have been a little bit younger for this one, so it might not have been a big deal. I was 16. UGA 2003.
Oh no, that's on the honorable mention list. That's on the honorable mention list. Don't worry.
This was terrible. And Morgan, it involves camping again because we were camping. Circle J campground.
Oh, now I remember this one. Now I remember.
Yeah, of course you remember this. Everybody remembers this. They don't want to remember it, but they remember it. And we're sitting there rafting, and my Uncle Butch comes up and he's like, dude, I'm going to this game. Clemson's playing Georgia. We haven't done this. Let's do this. They're coming to the Valley. Let's go. Said, giddy up. Sign me up. I can't wait. So we left rafting, went to this game. It's 1,000,000 degrees. I don't care what the thermometer says, 1,000,000 degrees. It was absolutely unbelievable. We get in there. We cannot do anything. 30-0, an absolute bludgeoning by, of all people, the Georgia Bulldogs. It was one of my least favorite games of all time, only topped by one, which was on Houston's list as well. The FSU game, 2013. I mean, game day, raucous environment, unbelievable. 6-0. We've already beat UGA. We're ready to go on to bigger and better things this year. This is the year, maybe, just maybe, we can compete for that national championship. And if I'm not mistaken, it might have been the first play. Taj Boyd throws like a 10 or 15-yard slant to Stanton secondary. He gets drilled, loses the ball.
Yeah.
Right from the start. And, man, it didn't get any better from there. And even me, I contemplated leaving that game. I'm sitting there on one of the front rows, and I'm like, do I really have to stay here? You know what? I have to stay here. That's my rule. I've got to stay. And we did score a garbage touchdown at the end, and the 6 fans that were there with me were cheering. But it was awful. It was miserable, and I hope that I never have to go through that again.
Wow. Well, Al, now I remember that Georgia game because we were rafting and then you left us. Is that how it went down?
I'm not sure if you were there on that trip or not, but yes, it was during a rafting trip, and my uncle was like, "Dude, we have to go to this game." And I said, "Giddy up, I'm in. Let's do it."
So I think what happened, I want to say, and I may be completely wrong as I usually am, but I want to say we were in a cabin and y'all were gone. No wonder. I think it was just me and Joy, because everybody else was gone, and they did not have cable. So I had to go on ESPN's website, like watch ESPN, and get it through my hotspot on my phone through the computer plugged into an HDMI cable,
Ugh.
and then it like poured down raining, and we lost signal for a while. It was horrible. It was
Yeah.
horrible experience.
I not to cut in, but I also feel like before we finish up that there are some honorable mentions that need to be mentioned.
Absolutely.
Right. I see everyone
Okay.
saying the Orange Vault.
Let's go through some of the chat real quick and see what they have, because I know they got a bunch of honorable mentions. We'll run through the chat real quick. So AU says there was a bad call on the sideline catch on that UGA game and hot air balloons there. All I remember. Matt Ryan and BC. Hey, I remember that.
That's an honorable
2007.
mention.
That's the last one.
Oh man,
On my list.
that was bad. That was bad. Obviously West Virginia lost, but really I think about that one and I think that was a perfect game to turn the chapter and become the dynasty, so I don't beat them up that bad about that one. But that was, by the way, the only game on TV. Let me go back to that. That was the only game on TV at the time in the country. And Clemson allowed the worst bowl loss ever. It was, what a way to lay an egg.
When you get through, I got two more that I want to put on there, but finish up the list. I don't see them on the list.
Entire 1998 season, except for beating the Gamecocks, loss for West Virginia. The game where Jameis Winston was suspended but still dressed out.
Ooh, yeah.
The Cal beat down in the Citrus Bowl. West Virginia's number one. The 70-point beatdown. The FSU beatdowns suck, but they usually were to good teams. Adam Humphries was a terrible turnover game.
I was there.
2002, Clemson lost to Georgia on the road, 28-31. Again, West Virginia, Syracuse at the Gator Bowl, Texas Tech in Orlando. A lot of people said that this morning about that. Honorable mention when Jameis was suspended. More West Virginia. The first three Gamecock losses. Again, when West Virginia beat us without Jameis Winston, who was their backup instead of Jameis Winston? It was that coach's son, wasn't it? Wasn't it the quarterback coach's son?
It was Sean McGuire.
Yeah.
Sean McGuire was one. Yeah.
Okay. Warwick Dunn, FSU, the days sucked. Any of those ones in the horrible kicker days? The UGA one where they lost the lead. Oh, and Bill gets in, says, Houston, my list of leaving baseball games early and discussed as long as my list.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a whole story about that. But
Garnett Lee says LSU winning the national championship game. That Bama game that we talked about, the Bama 2015 game. Al, I got to spend the time with you, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a good game.
Aaron Kelly dropping a Boston College pass in the end zone. Oh, gosh, don't tell me that one.
That was a tough one.
Alabama game in the Georgia Dome.
They don't mention that in that game. Everybody talks about the Aaron Kelly drop pass down the sideline, and believe me, Aaron Kelly will tell you he should have caught that ball, no doubt about it. But what I remember was 3rd and 7. Matt Ryan has nowhere to go. He rolls all the way to his right. Cresden Butler, if you remember, was a cornerback back then, and he falls, from what I remember, leaving his dude wide open. Matt Ryan, 43 yards, all the way across the field, caddy corner. And that's what I remember most about that game. And I just absolutely couldn't believe it. It was a heartbreaker because we all thought we were going to the ACC championship.
He was more open than a punt returner, man. Like it was like he started off way back there, ready for that catch, man.
Yes.
Oh, AU guys says Duke games where it poured rain and we lost. I don't remember exactly that one. Garnett Lee says, honestly, I thought we should have won if number 8 didn't fumble. Well, if you remember Garnett Lee, Jamie Harper fumbled like really early on. Actually, the first play, because Al, remember Dabo promised him the first handoff in the recruitment.
Yes.
Tommy Bowden did that.
Yeah,
Tommy Bowden, excuse me.
Clear about
I remember that. So, oh man, it was terrible. Absolutely awful. Because we were all excited.
Oh man,
I
man
feel like
coverage with 5'8" Ty Hill on Calvin Johnson. Yeah, great idea there, right?
I feel like there's 3 games. Quick, I'll get this out of the way that need to be mentioned. All right, one that is underrated that no Clemson fan talks about, but I feel like set the tone for the 2001 season after 2000 and all that and all the hope was the 2001 game after 9/11 when Clemson played Virginia and lost on the last play of the game. And Clemson had the game won. They were driving down the field and Woody Dantzler fumbled, and it just everything went Virginia way, and Virginia won on the last play of the game. Number 2, 2005. That one would be the Miami game, the loudest game in Clemson history, right? That's one of those that.
Al, you were there, right?
That was the most amazing game I've ever been to. Literally the only thing bad about that was the outcome. It was such an awesome game to watch.
And I mean, that's the outcome is the part that I think I would add to the heartbreaker.
Sure, right? And I'm cool with that.
And then the third one, 2006, Jadine wide left against South Carolina. It was such a bonkers bullcrap game that they won. And
I tried not to bring that one up because I was in Iraq in that game, and the Armed Forces Network only played select games, and they happened to have that game on. And when I found out that game was on, I told everyone in Balad, hey, let's go to the cafeteria and let's watch this game, be there.
Yeah.
And literally had people from all over the country, service members all over watching that game. And we freaking lost. And it was like 4 a.m. too, by the way, for us, because of the time difference. It was the worst. And then everybody goes, well, you hyped up this Clemson team. Like, a lot of people didn't even know who Clemson was. And they were like, Morgan, you hyped up this Clemson team and they just lost.
Yeah. You really missed the mark there. Hey, Houston, I don't know. I'm sure you probably remember this probably even better than I do, but the Miami game, it was so unreal. It was so loud. There's clips on YouTube that you really need to check out from that game. But what I remember from that game, after we got that stop, and they take over, there's a play where I guess it was Whitehurst and Stuckey were the guys, if I'm not mistaken. And Whitehurst goes to the left. All of a sudden, I notice Stuckey is wide open. He runs like a corner to the left pylon. And the guy falls down. It was our Cresden Butler moment from against BC. The guy falls down. Whitehurst could have just walked over there and underhand tossed it to Stuckey. There's one thing only you can't do there, and that's overthrow him so he doesn't even have a chance to touch it. And he just put a little too much air under it, and it would have been the game. It was absolutely brutal, but just such a good game, and that's the only reason I didn't put it on my list. I did have one. I don't think it was the rain game this guy was talking about, but Duke in 2004. I don't know why I remember this, but I was at the YMCA. It was an away game. I was at the YMCA shooting basketball with Chris. And we somehow realized, holy crap, there's a game going on. We didn't think it was starting yet. And we're listening to the game on the radio, and this dude comes in and nails a 53-yard field goal. And we lose to friggin' Duke, 16-13. It was awful. I could not believe it.
Oh, man. Yeah, I remember that Duke game. Wow. Clemson has come so far, fellas, so far to be struggling against Duke to now being like year after year winning 10 games or more is pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
Come a long way, fellas. Come a long way. So has the show. The show has come a long way. We appreciate everybody getting in over on Facebook or YouTube. Before you go, we're about to end the show tonight. Before you go, if you missed anything, if you just came in and you're like, crap, the show's over, don't worry, because I'll go in, I'll get on Premiere Pro, I'll cut it up, and I'll post it up so you can see shorter clips, replays of this show throughout the week coming up and get ready for Clemson football this season. Don't forget to hit the like button on Facebook. Follow us over on Facebook. the Morgan Thomas Show page, and then on Twitter at the Morgan T Show. Alan doesn't have a Twitter. Houston does, at Radio Guy Houston. And then on YouTube, the Morgan Thomas Show. Hit the like button on this video and then subscribe to the channel as well. For those of you still out there, still waiting, still hanging around, I have an announcement to make. An announcement of an announcement. We are officially launching the Morgan Thomas Show Teespring account merchandise store. So if you want to get your Morgan Thomas Show logo and get it on some gear, you can go here. By the way, we have some fun t-shirts as well that we tried to create for you. So if you go scroll down here to some of our featured products, you'll see some of our t-shirts there with the Morgan Thomas Show logo and the Roar logo on the back. You saw last year we gave those out as some prizes throughout the year. We may do that again, but you can also get one too if you didn't win a prize. We have a decal. Hey, look at that there in the middle. You might not be able to see it, but it says, I agree with Houston. We did make the t-shirt, everyone. It's the I agree with Houston t-shirt. The stainless steel water bottle. And we have some more fun t-shirts. Roster management coordinator t-shirt. I know all of you roster management junkies out there. For those of you who like the guy on Twitter that likes to make fun of Clemson so much, cult member t-shirt. For those of you who think Clemson doesn't offer enough or doesn't offer early enough, the late offer t-shirt. For those of you who hate the wide receiver screen but hate it so much you want to wear the wide receiver screen shirt, the Run the Wide Receiver Screen t-shirt. The 15-0 t-shirt. Oh, look at that, Al. A Morgan Thomas Show mug. And if you want something in baby blue or Carolina blue or whatever you want to call it, the D.W. Daniel walk-on t-shirt. I know that one's going to be fun. Everybody makes fun of it being a feeder school, but now you can be a part of being the D.W. Daniel walk-on. And then finally, my saying about the ACC Pac-12 Big Ten partnership, wanted meaningful, loose partnership. Because you know what? That's what we all need. That's what we all want, is a meaningful, loose partnership. Right, Houston?
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully say I agree with Morgan. So I need you to say that, and then I'll say I agree with Houston.
I agree with Morgan, I guess.
All right, I'm going to put in the link to the store in the chat so you can go check it out. Also, you can check it out. Houston will post it up on his Twitter page, and I will post it up on my Twitter page. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody that's watching the show. We really appreciate everybody getting in and being a part of the show. We'll see you next Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Facebook or YouTube. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.
Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their 2 locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs.